Not cry, friends.
Can you please keep that?
Yeah, I am going to. Enough cry, everybody. Come back. Um, we're gonna do our 2020 to 2024 ranking video. So, yeah, sorry, there's like something weird going on with my eyes. Anyway, so we've got 25 videos to talk about today. So a bit more than last time. So I'm expecting we'll probably run about an hour to an hour and a half, maybe. But
Yeah.
this is where I think we start to get into the element here. For the most part, actually. Actually, maybe like only half of these. There's like half of these that I think are really good, and there's like half of these that are oh,
Yeah.
we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
So the first one we're going to talk about is so we're just to break it up, just to keep it simple, because I think we both kind of agree that last time I kind of introduced an overwhelmingly majority of them, and I kind of got tired of doing that. And Cole's like, "Hey, can we like not do that this time?" So anything from nuclear films and jaw movies is going to be introduced. Well, is going to start off with Cole, and then um, I'm going to start off all of his videos. So the
Yeah.
first one we're going to talk about is Evolve. This one's currently on nuclear films.
Oh
Um,
boy.
take it
Okay.
away, Mr. Cole Steiner.
Okay, so okay, you're gonna actually laugh. Because I slapped myself in the face like today actually. Because when I watched, because I do all this in one day. So I did this one in one day as well. Like 2020 to 2024. So when I watched Evolve at first, I don't know why, but I gave it a 7. I don't know why. I was like, "Oh, that wasn't that bad." And then I was going through the list today and I'm like, I don't know about that. Let me watch it again." And I watched it again and I'm like, "No. No, that I gave it a 6. I gave it a 6 out of 10. I loved the message, and we'll get to that message, but I love the message. I love that it's original. And what I'm about to say, I'm gonna talk about again later in nuclear films videos, but there's a lot of good camera shots in this one, but then there's also a lot of bad camera shots in this one, and I have no idea why that is. I also really didn't like the random like Chris entering the message in, like that was cringe. Like the audio was awful, and the way he said it, and like I get the message is good and all, but it was not conveyed well at all. In fact, like I looked on the video and there's a comment from Jake, and he's like, um, "What happened?" Because the message is not presented in a way that makes sense. Like after Chris like explained it in Jake's comment, I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. But yeah, he didn't do a good job at explaining the message. So I gave it a 6 out of 10 for effort. But yeah,
I also gave it a 6 out of 10. I agree with you. I thought the cinematography was good. The video like looks good. And I mean that starts to see I think is a pretty recurring theme throughout a lot of these videos is they look like physically they look good. Most of
mhm.
them are shot pretty well, but I feel like the message was lost in the execution.
Oh yeah,
And then like I'm sitting there watching and I forgot about the voiceover. So then it happens and it like ear rapes you too because it's so loud. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, oh, this just
yeah,
went down. Because I'm sitting there and I'm like, I remember making fun of this when this came out. And I'm watching it, I'm like, this isn't like bad. It's kind of just like another inoffensive one. And then like the voiceover happens and I'm like, oh, okay, this just went
yeah,
down. So yeah, I
yeah,
agree. 6 out of 10. It
yeah.
was that was just a cringe voiceover. What was the message then? Just because like I didn't look at the comments. I watch all these on my computer, what I have downloaded. So what was the
So
comment?
were you confused by the whole film as well?
I mean, not really. I kind of figured it was just like what I took away from it was, and I think this was like from us like talking about it and like trying to sit here and figure it out. I think like the message of it is supposed to be like he's bored, he's just going through the motions, and he found something that made him happy, so he's like trying to go out and do what makes him happy instead of just working a 9 to 5. Kind of reminds me of someone.
No, that's not what it's about at all.
What did you say it's about?
So he's like complaining to a student about something. I guess it has to do with like the student's work with his like his like band gig or something. I don't know, his music. And then his wife texts him like coincidentally like right as that happens, so that's like very convenient. But his wife texts him a picture of him as a band geek back in the day himself, and he's like, oh, like I used to be like that kid. And so then he plugs in the guitar and he's like playing, he's like, hey, I was wrong for being a dick, like I used to be just like you, here play the guitar with me. And I guess Jagerson was supposed to be like, you evolve, past yourself. I don't know. I looked at just read the comment. Go to
That's
the
like
video.
what?
Go to the video. Look at Jake's comment and then read Chris's comment explaining it. That's the best thing I can do.
But that makes no sense.
I don't know,
Okay,
man.
I
just work
almost
here.
kind of want to put it in F tier, but I guess since we both already agreed on 6, we could put it in D tier.
Yeah.
Oh, our next one we're gonna talk about
Oh.
is Grand Theft Cellular.
All right, here we go.
What'd you give it?
I gave it a 5. That might be a little too high, actually. Um, so I put a lot of things. I said when the guy takes the phone from Chris, Chris doesn't even see that. So why did he start running after him? Like if you watch the film, he takes the phone and Chris doesn't even see that he took the phone. He just immediately starts running after him. So it's like, well, that doesn't make sense. Um, Bad camera work, like the production quality, the picture and all that, it looks bad.
Yeah,
The story is cringe. Also like it just randomly cuts to nighttime now. Like I don't know if you noticed that.
that I didn't
Um,
notice.
yeah, it like he's running after him and then randomly it's nighttime now. And it's just like, okay. um, yeah, like I don't know, this one just didn't have any message to me. Like what was the point of this? It was just
Yeah.
felt very pointless and kind of cringe. So I gave it like a 5.
I also gave it a 5 out of 10. Um, I said the camera work is shoddy. The story feels like a joke.
Yeah.
Um, and I also put on here like I put a nitpick as well. Like the second thief literally just stops and lays on the ground, and then they walk up to him, and I'm like, what? Like
Yeah.
he didn't trip over anything or something. He literally just stops and gets on the ground, and I'm like, what? Yeah, maybe a 5 is too high.
Yeah.
But either
But
way, I guess
regardless,
that's F tier.
yeah, it's F tier.
I remember
Uh,
like I remember this came out like we had worked on Underground, right? And this was like Yackerson's next big drop after everything, and we had like I mean obviously we didn't edit Underground for a while, but I remember like we watched this and we're like, what? This is what he's doing?
yeah.
Oh, and that one's currently available on Nuclear Films. So the next one we're gonna talk about is The Sad Tragedy of Palmer. This one is not available anywhere. It should be though. I'm gonna give it a because this was one of yours. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
I thought the camera angles don't really let you. They kind of block some of the things, and because Emily watched some of these with me, she pointed that out too. Like it cuts off the video game screen, so you can't even tell the guy dies in the video game. Um, but you do get a nice little shot of Lego Ray Skywalker there on the game console.
I don't know who that is.
I thought it was kind of funny though, but yeah, the ending's kind of ambiguous. Like I know when you pitch this to me, you're like, I need to record a quick video. You're gonna play you're gonna walk in like a loser. You're gonna play a video game, and then you're gonna die in the video game, and then you're gonna die in real life. And I told Emily that she's like, you can tell he just died. He looks like he just gave up and rolled over. I asked her though, I'm like, do I look like a loser in this game? She's like, yeah.
I remember when I showed this to Kira, she's like, as soon as it cut to your room, she's like, "Oh, the Legos!"
That's not even my room. I remember that was something else Emily said. She's like, that's cringe that you shot it in your playroom. She's like, you're 20 years old and there's still a playroom. I'm like, it's not my house.
Yeah, that was cringe. I agree with you. I gave it a 6 out of 10. I think it should be lower, but I think for the memes, it's a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, it
Um,
flows.
it's what?
It flows.
Yeah, I mean, I put short, sweet, funny, OG story. Obviously, bad production, but I mean, it is what it is. It just kind of exists. I mean, it's not bad. I gave it a D.
Woo!
Oh no.
Oh, yeah. No, Daddy, no.
Yes, Daddy, yes. That
The
was cringe.
next one we're going to talk about is Buckaroo.
You gotta insert the shot of Chris licking his lips right now. Insert that.
I showed that to Emily and she was grossed out. Like, yeah, so my wife watched a lot of these with me and oh shoot. Well,
What just happened?
I plugged my cord in like an hour ago and I didn't actually plug it into my computer. So I just got a notification that my battery saver is on. I'm like, what? We're just laying down here on the ground. All right. So
Great.
yeah, Emily
All right.
was
Continue
like,
your
as soon
story.
as I was like, all right, Buckaroo's next, she's like, no, I've seen this way too many times. She's like, I've seen this more than I should. So, Buckaroo, available on Nuclear Films. Cole, what did you give Buckaroo?
um, I said good premise, great production at times, cringe moments, parts don't make sense. I gave it a 6 actually, which is surprising. Yeah. Okay, hold on. I gave it a 6 because, like I said, I don't know why I put the 6 afterwards, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if you like sit down and actually like watch it, like the premise is kind of funny. The production quality has really improved. Like if you look at the shots, like they're nice. Um, there's a lot of cringe moments and like I said, parts that don't make sense. Like, why is he walking across the street to get a truck? Like it just drags the film on. It makes no sense. Like the truck is a truck. It's just sitting there. Why do you need to hide from it? Um, but I don't think this is one of those where it's just like I want to give it some credit for the production value. Like I feel like
The
he
same
was really
production
trying to
where it's all of
improve.
a sudden
And
nighttime in
I think
5 minutes?
that is true. That happens too. I mean, I understand if you want to put it in F tier, but I gave it literally borderline 6 just for OG story and
Gave it
production.
a 4.5 out of 10. This is one that I've actually probably showed
Okay.
like 10 different people. I've showed this video. Like I showed my grandparents, I showed my siblings. We all watched it. You, me, Jake, etc. I showed Emily, obviously. I showed my dad, and like every person I showed this to made fun of this.
No, it's a meme worthy film. I'm just we're
Objectively,
looking at all
yeah. I
these
mean, I
films
put like
like
it's
objectively.
paced well. It's
Yeah.
fun watching it because it's so cringe. Like Yak licking his lips, him sneaking up, facial expressions, him going my steed, or at the end when like the guy punches him, going my steed now, "Ah!" or the guy
Yeah, that was
like
bad.
when he's like
That was
quivering like
bad.
this as Yak's throwing him over.
Oh, I hate that.
Um,
That's so
the whole
cringe.
premise is kind of dumb and
Yeah.
stupid, but I do agree. Like the camera works all right. The costume looked good though. I put on here, Yak credited himself as Buckaroo. So put on here, I realized in the credits, Yak credited
Wait, you cut
himself
out
as
what'd you say?
Buckaroo. I mean, maybe a 4.5. Oh, go ahead.
By the way, real quick, I was just gonna say like you're ever since you plugged that in,
Hang
you're like
on.
lagging a
Wow.
little bit. Did you do something?
I don't know. Maybe I'll pause it and kick you out, and we'll restart it. So I mean, all in all, like I don't know, maybe 4.5 was a little too harsh. I don't know about D tier.
Okay, real quick, you're recording though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know, man. Like the other ones, I don't know where you're gonna put the other ones, but I'm just gonna say this: like the other ones are kind of meme worthy, and I don't think they're above this one, but I also don't want to put those ones at the bottom, if you know what I mean.
Well, we'll get to that in a second because I actually have an argument to address to that.
Oh
Um,
no.
on why they should be treated a little differently, but I don't know, like this is trying to present itself like serious, right? Like it's not trying to be like a meme, like sad tragedy of Palmer. Like clearly it's meant to be a joke. Like that was how you pitch it to me. Like it's just you're gonna walk in, play video games, and die. Like clearly it's meant to be a meme. Like this isn't meant to be a meme. This is meant to be like serious video. I mean, like, how
Okay.
does this work with this video? Like, is this guy like genuinely like, is he special needs or something? And that's why he's like lassoing a wood post? I don't know.
You make a point. All right, we'll compromise on this one. If another compromise comes up, I'm winning the next one.
Perhaps. Oh,
you put
whoops.
it. You put it in D anyway. All right.
Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is What's in the Box.
Go ahead.
This one was available on Double Studios, and then you took it down for no apparent reason.
I'll tell you why I took it down.
I gave it a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Um, I thought it was edited pretty horribly. Like, there's moments where like they're just waiting for the go ahead, and you should have like cut that in production. Like the
I didn't
five
edit this.
second. What?
I didn't edit this.
Oh, well, that explains a lot. um, I did put here. I really like Jake as the host, though.
Yeah, no, he did good.
The commercial breaks were kind of abrupt. Like, it's a 15-minute video, and you have like 3 commercial breaks, and it's just all of a sudden like, oh, we're at commercial break now. Um, there were some cringe parts too, and the trivia segment was really cringe. I also thought
Yeah.
it was kind of funny too when like that first guy walks in and Jake's like, all right, just a question to for an icebreaker. You know, if you get rid of one music genre, what would you get rid of?" Like, okay, that's a fine icebreaker question. And then this other chick walks in and he goes, "All right, just an icebreaker question. What do you regret most in life?"
I know. I know. Like that was so. I remember watching that with Kieran. She's like, "Jeez."
And you could tell like that chick kind of got awkward too. She's like, "Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that was. You
came
can
up with
see.
that, or did Jake come up with that on the fly? Do you remember?"
So let me just explain what this is. So, what in the box was for broadcasting class, and basically we had the whole class had a bunch of groups of different people, and
Was
our
Jake in
group.
the class with you, or is he just
No,
helping you?
I just asked him for
Okay.
his help. So our group was like, okay, let's just do a show. Like what's broadcast a show, and we'll call it "What's in the Box," and we have contestants trying to figure out what's in the box. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. So I was on camera A, and um, there was another one of my classmates on the other camera, and then another one of my classmates actually editing the thing live. So how it works is everything that you see is someone in the back room cutting to different cameras. That's why sometimes it
Oh,
looks
so this is meant to be like you're broadcasting it live on the air.
yeah, and it's just being
It's kind of
recorded. Yeah.
cool.
So that's why it can feel a little off because it's just like some dude like cutting to different cameras. Um but yeah, I mean I agree with you. I think the quality looks good. Like and
Yeah.
I think Jake for what he had. And by the way, yeah, we wrote everything for him. So I don't know who decided to write that line, but he didn't write anything. Like he actually had a teleprompter that he would read.
Oh, like our
So
president.
yeah. So I said 6 out of 10 as well because it's a good production. Jake did well. I mean, I don't know what else do you
Yeah.
want to
No, I agree.
So
I love at the beginning too, and he's like, "Welcome to the first and last episode of What's in the
I
Box."
know. I took it down though because like I was thinking about it. I'm like, honestly, I had nothing really to do with this except for like camera work, but also like I don't know. It's really long. It's kind of cringe. Like I don't need it.
I get that respect too, because like I took a lot of stuff off of my channel that I didn't really have anything to do with other than acting in it, so I can respect that.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, dude, our first S tier video. The next one we're gonna talk about is class news report.
Go ahead.
This one's not available anywhere.
Good.
So basically, I'll summarize. Basically, the premise is Cole basically has to. He was given 5 random clips that he had to basically make a news video out of, and he was the news broadcaster. um, 6 out of 10. Just because like it's kind of dumb, but I don't know. It's also hilarious at the same time too. It's a bad
Yeah.
setting though. Like we shot this in that playroom, so like there's like my brother's Legos are everywhere, and
Yeah.
the news clips are kind of dumb and stupid. And then we made it kind of political, which some of the jokes, the political jokes, I think kind of like are still funny and they hold up. But then like the one you make about the ice cream, it's kind of cringe. But then
Yeah.
at the end, when you're like, "Oh, the coronavirus is around, not as dangerous as the flu,"
Yeah, that's
I,
cringe.
I thought that was kind of funny.
It's cringe. Regardless on what political side you stand on, like it's not worth being in a short. Like that was awful. Like I was on the fence between a 5 or a 6 actually. And this was one of those where it was like, well, whatever Josh gives it, I'll just kind of side with. So I just said cringe and kind of funny. That's all I put.
Probably have an unhealthy love for this video. That's true.
I don't think it, but just to clarify, I don't think it belongs in deep tier. But this is one of those where it's like,
We
well, for
can
the
put
memes,
we
what?
can put it in F tier if you want. If we're trying to be objective, especially since I gave Buckaroo a 4.5 out of 10.
Yeah, put it in F tier.
That's your compromise you win, by the way.
What?
That's your compromise you win, by the way.
No, that's not my compromise. You're the one that said it. That's not the compromise.
Oh, goody goody gumdrops. Our next one,
Oh no.
the next one we're gonna talk about is Inside.
Oh boy.
This one's
Yikes.
on nuclear films. Go ahead, Cole. What do you say?
Goody goody gundrum. I gave that a 4 out of 10. Okay. There's so much to talk about with this one. You're gonna love this. I put Vietnam flashbacks of 2020. That's all I got from this was like flashbacks from that era of 2020 and how awful that was. So that didn't really make me feel good watching it. Also, I put what was the point of that? Um, like like he it's just structured so weird, and I don't understand. Like again, I don't understand the point. So at the beginning, he shoots the scene of him walking outside, and then it turns out it was a dream. And it's like okay, and then he walks outside for real, and then it ends. So what was the point? Like, what was the moral, the message? I don't know what. And like the whole film just drags on, and it's terrible production, and I don't want to see Axe feet. And it was like boring. And then there's like Attack of the Clones and Smash Bros, and it's like ah. And then there was a lot of the same music from like the Gunman and other movies, and it's just like oh my god, like this movie. I gave it some credit for original story, but that's all. 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I also gave it a 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it too because I think this is the first video so far where he uses Kevin's music. So I'm gonna say it too. I'm sick of Kevin, bro. Like that's I remember like in the last group of videos we watched for 2018. Remember how I made a comment how I'm like I'm sick of your house.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this time around, like I thought several times, I'm like sick of Kevin. Like I like Kevin and he does great music, right? But we just well, I think as time went on, like we quit using them, or at least we changed it up what we use.
Mhm.
But Yak just used the same tracks over and over. Like I think there was at least two different parts here where I'm like, hey, I remember this music from Legends.
Yeah. No,
um,
that's it's a really bad trait from Yakuson. And like I said, there's no shots to Yakuson. Like he's a good filmmaker. It's just you gotta change up the music, man. Like every once in a
yeah.
while, like I mean, to be honest, like in the latest film we published, we used Kevin music, but it's been like what 4 years, and we
Well, on
haven't
top of
really.
that too, none of those tracks really I don't recognize any of those tracks. Whereas like it's I mean Kevin's got a lot of tracks. So it's one thing
Yeah,
if like Yackerson used Kevin in every video, but like it was every time it was like a new song or it was new themes. Whereas like he plays like the same five tracks, and that's why I'm like, come on, man.
yeah. In Underground, there is a track from Indie 2, but like I said, at the same time, it's like okay, well, we haven't heard that in our videos forever, so I don't know. I think it's fine, but
Yeah.
back then,
Um
like when we were pumping out videos, like no, we need to make some new music.
Yeah. So, I also said too on this one, I'm like, it was some good cinematography, but like the story's pointless. The videos were a waste of time. The ending was dumb. And I also love too he releases this in April of 2020. I think it's April. And then he puts in there, um, in the YouTube description, not related to current events.
Wait, what?
He put in there, not related to current events.
I know, but like what?
Ah,
Like how does this not have to do with the current events? I literally wrote Vietnam flashbacks because I thought he was doing that because of the time period.
The only thing I could think of is I guess if he wanted to, he could retroactively fit this into his whole alien verse thing, but we'll talk about the alien verse down the road.
Yeah.
I
All right.
remember like I actually showed my grandparents this too when this came out, and they watched this and they're like, "What was the point?"
Yeah, I don't know. That's the yeah. I agree. Like when he I want to ask him actually like when he takes the mask off and he's outside like and then it ends like so what was the point? Like what happened? Like why?
We'll revisit this because it actually leads me to a point that I want to make a little later down the road with some of his videos. I mean, like, I know I'm a little harsh on him at times, but to be fair, I'm also like I put almost all of my videos in F tier. So
Yeah.
like, I mean, we're being harsher on the round. Like, I think Yak is like he's a good video maker, and he's got a lot of like he's got a nice slate. Like, I kind of am a little jealous when you look at the slate that I have compared to his slate.
Hmm.
He's got a lot of
Hmm.
original content, but I mean, that being said, like as far as his 2020 slate goes, it leaves a lot to be desired, especially knowing some of the things he's done in the past and
Yeah.
what comes down later on in the road in the next couple of years we're going to talk about.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's an F tier.
Yeah.
um, the next video we're going to talk about is Gunman 4.
Oh heck yeah.
Um, I actually gave this, so this one's currently available on Double O Studios, and it's also available on Nuclear Films. Um, I gave this one where is it? 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
I initially going into it, I wanted to give it a B, but if we've got to be objective, like I think the story's really good and it's definitely shot better than 1 through 3. But
Hmm.
the camera work's a little shoddy on it. Like Emily even pointed that she was watching it with me. That last scene where Lucius and Preston are walking to the domes, and I know you were the one shooting this, and you were like holding the camera. It shakes a
Hmm.
lot to the point where Emily's like, "I can't watch this. It just shakes too much. It hurts my head."
Yeah.
The audio's got one or two moments where it's a little funky, not like the others, and definitely not on the same level as Rotter. But yeah, I can't give it
Yeah.
an 8 out of 10 personally. I do like Lucius though.
Yeah. No, I'll agree with you. I actually have the exact same rank. 7.5 out of 10. I think it is the best one out of the four so far.
A little plug for later.
Yeah. I think the story. So a little bit of trivia, or I guess not trivia. Like, what would you call it? News? Not news, but
Trivia,
whatever.
behind the scenes facts.
Yeah, whatever. So I don't know if anyone knows this, but at the end of three, we had a little issue. Somebody called the police on us because we were basically guerrilla filmmaking. So like, of course, this was bound to happen eventually. Someone thought we were like real people with real guns. They called the police on us, so that was a whole deal. So we're like, we couldn't use those tunnels because those tunnels were supposed to be for 4, 5, and 6, and we couldn't use them anymore because I'm like, I'm not going back there and risking that again. So we completely rewrote the last half, and I really love that because this story, I also gave it a 7.5 just because of the lengths we went to with this. Like,
The
we
scope.
actually got a horse. Like, that's
Yeah.
crazy. We got a horse. We went to the domes. We drove an hour away. We did so much with this film, and I give it a lot of props. And Jake, this is by far one of Jake's best acting. He
Yeah.
did so good. I love when he's just like telling Preston, like he's smacking him around, and I love when he's like, I know these people. Like it's great. He's a great actor sometimes. Like yeah,
Love
seven out
too
of
at the beginning when he's like when the gunman walks off and he kind of looks at him because like he's like, well, Lucius gave me the gun, so I love after the gunman walks up, he's like, don't you dare blame me for your
yeah,
failures again.
yeah,
I
yeah,
want to I want to say too, rest in peace to the domes we recently learned were destroyed over a year ago. That is
yeah,
really sad.
yeah. It is really sad, but not to worry. Well, we're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, wait, one last thing before you put it in C tier. I want to say that shot where Jake is like to Chris. I think that's actually the best scene that Jake has ever acted in. I just wanted to say that because like I was watching it and I'm like, wow, that's
Which part when they're debating about helping the gunman with the cannibals?
no, when they're like it's actually that shaky shot that you don't like at the end when Chris
Uh
is like and Jake's just like look, we're here. Like
I actually think one of the coolest things about it is at the beginning, um, when it's got the point of view shot and it's got the blinking. I don't know. I really love. I'm a sucker. I don't know why, but I'm a sucker for escape sequences. And not only was that like edited really well, but it's and like tense too. But it was also like that was just a beautiful shot. The whole point of view, and you hear the guns in the background, and the
yeah.
blinking. The blinking makes it. Yeah, the blinking makes it. It's cool. And I love
Glad
too
you
when
like
like
my version.
Jake skids out of there like we need to leave now and then he's just like he literally skips out of there like Rumpelstiltskin. I love it.
I just love like when you watch all four back to back. I just love that he just joins our crew now. Like
Yeah.
in the first three, it's just me and Preston, and then all of a sudden Jake just like scurries along, and we're just like, okay, we'll take him.
And I
Like,
love too like even though like obviously like on set it was only you Jake and Yackerson there. Like you don't have all the Raiders there obviously and you don't see any other Raiders. You just hear the gunshots. But when you watch it back to back, it's still like if anything to me personally, it elevates the tension and the scope of the
yeah,
battle even though there's nothing actually going on. And I love that.
yeah, yeah. So put that sucker in C tier.
Rip. Okay. The
Oh,
next one we get to talk about is Momo's Final Adventure, currently available on John Movies and Darth Momo. This is the culmination of 5 years of storytelling in the Darth Momo verse. Cole Steiner, what did you think?
I'm gonna feel really bad. I'm You're not gonna like my review.
Okay.
I gave it a 5. Yeah. I was just a little disappointed. I'm not gonna lie. Like, um, I know, like when you first told me about when we first decided to rank all these, and you showed me how many freaking momos there were, I was like, oh my god! And then I forgot that 20 you made one in 2020, which is not that long ago, and I was like, holy shoot! Like you have one in 2020, like that one's might actually be pretty good. And then I watched it. Yeah, I was going into it like so excited. I'm like, okay, this one's not that old. Like this is gonna be good. What was that whole scene of the recap, man? What was that? Like you're just sitting on the floor and I we just hear all the momos and it's so boring. It's such a time waster and it's just like cringe. Like why? Why did you do that? It just eats up the runtime. And then I was so confused by the ending. Like, it wasn't very satisfactory. Like, I hated that you died too. I thought that was like very pointless. The production didn't feel any different from the other ones, which is really bad. um, and yeah, I was really disappointed actually. I went into it being very excited and I was ready to give it like a C, and then I was let down.
And you watch that trailer too, where like it plays a clip from like all the Momos, and
Yeah, yeah.
so I actually gave it a 4 out of 10.
Dang.
So
Okay.
a little bit of backstory to elaborate. So originally, when I was, because initially after making the 14th one in 2017, I knew that I only wanted to make one more. I knew that whatever the next Momo was I made, I wanted that to be the last one, and I knew I wanted it to be a longer video too. It was going to be like similar to how like the prequels were on like their own thing as opposed to the rest of the shorts. I wanted to make it like its own thing. It was going to be a little longer, and it was going to be like, the final adventure of Darth Momo, some sort of thing to indicate like this is going to be the last one. And I had
Mhm.
this whole plan, like Dava Kum was going to be like this, this big bad villain, and he basically had a super weapon, something similar like the one in Rebels in that Sith planet on Malachor, and he was gonna have that, and he was gonna like try to like essentially, try to defeat the Jedi with it and become super powerful. And Momo had to like stop him, and he had to like because he's pretty much been a villain to the Jedi this whole time now, right? But he had to like I was
Mhm.
actually gonna try to like get you to help me out with it and make you a Jedi, and like I was gonna like have Momo have to like team up with a Jedi to try to take down Davakum. And I was gonna have him go on like this whole journey where like he got his sight back because he started becoming good again, and then like Davakum like actually blinds him, not just like temporary with some like weapon, but like actually cuts his eyes out. And Momo has to like, become a Jedi again and pick up the mantle and defeat the super weapon and kill Davakum. And he at the end he was still gonna die, but it was gonna be like much more earned. Like it was gonna be a redemptive story, and he was gonna die in like that Jedi's arms, and then the Jedi was gonna like take his body back to the temple, right? And I like that was more or less the idea I had for this. And then obviously we never kind of got around to making it, and I kind of like quit doing videos and quit making videos. So then I made, because the last like big project I made was the Lego stop motion, right? And that was during like the time of the Rebels, and I'm like, I want to make one during the Clone Wars. And I finally got around to doing that around the end of 2019, and I'm like, wow, this was really cool to go back and finish that project. It's close to finishing Momo. I should go back and do that. So this is the beginning of 2020, but I'm like, I don't have the resources to make it as grand as I wanted to. And I'm like, Jimmy doesn't really like care as much as I used to. Like I kind of want to just make it just for the sake of finishing it off since we were so close. So I'm like, and this is just after Rise of Skywalker came out too, right? So I'm like, you know what? I'm like, we're just gonna make this the Rise of Skywalker of the Momo franchise. And I wrote it. And I remember talking to Kyle and I told him that, and I'm like, do you think this makes any sense? And he's like, no, it makes no sense. What is Davakum now? Like, you just completely changed what Davakum is. And he's like, what was the whole point of all that? And yeah. So when I
Yeah.
put into context for you that I basically said I'm just going to write this in Rise of Skywalker, does that make everything make a lot more sense?
Yeah, it does.
And so like
Yeah.
I wanted to like connect back to everyone too, like in an unsatisfying way. And obviously like I still wanted to kill off Momo, so I'm like, well, we're gonna have him like kill him off, but then like Dabakun was like a vision, but he wasn't, but he was, so then he disappears, but then he does kill Momo? And yeah, I know it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it was kind of annoying and bad.
What else did I have on here? Said overall I kind of like the idea, but horrible execution. Completely forgot about the voices of the past section, and that really dragged out. Like,
Yeah.
I guess the whole idea was like he kind of just sits there, like he lost against Davakum and he's beaten, and he just kind of sits there and reflects on his past, and he lets go of the dark side finally. And yeah, it was really dragged out. Like I remember I'm like, oh yeah, I shot like 4 different angles and I just interchanged them for a little bit. And I forgot it was like 3 minutes long. I'm like, okay, this was like too long.
Yeah. No,
The
that
other thing
was
I had on here was I did put on here some nice poetry though. Like I put on there like, oh, it ends where it begins, and the camera pans to um the part or the part of the driveway where I first fight Yaki.
That's cringe.
And I play like the Force theme and I like fade out, which I'm guessing you
Yeah,
probably caught what that was a reference to, which I'm sure you hate that even more now.
yeah, yeah. That makes a lot more sense. I mean, I respect it a little bit more now for you just like not like it intentionally being bad, I guess. But it's still bad, and it's still, I guess to me, it's just like the Darth Momo series was always bad. Like I never liked it, to be honest with you. Like I liked, I like that it exists, but it also just was never very good. So
I think I agree with that 100%.
when I found out that you made one in 2020, I was actually genuinely excited because I just thought like, okay, maybe like you know that they're bad, obviously, and you're gonna try to make one that's really good. And to find out that it was just like the others was very disappointing.
Hindsight
So
too, like I mean, it was 2020, right? I didn't have a lot going on back then too in my personal life, so like I really could have if I really wanted to, like I could have put in the effort to make some grand scope video. And part of me kind of wishes I did. What? Don't tell
you
me you
know
want
you
me to
should
remake it.
you know what you should do?
What?
You should make them not canon and then remake it.
I have thought about like as a Lego stop motion because that would be so much easier to
Ah,
do, remaking the Momos and the Galaxy Wars.
that's a whole nother topic. We'll talk about that.
So,
All
yeah, this
right,
one's F tier.
F
Now that we
tier.
just spent 8 minutes talking about that.
Yeah,
Ah,
great.
the next one we're going to talk about is The Dinner.
Oh, heck yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so this one's currently not available anywhere, but I think you're going to remaster it, right? And put it on Double O
Well,
Studios?
actually, I watched it again recently, and I realized like I mean I could try, but it would be very difficult to remaster it. So I think I'm just gonna upload it soon, and actually credit Jake correctly because I don't know if you noticed, but he's not credited correctly in this.
Ah, I didn't notice that. And then, like, I know it's not on there anyway, but I'm just going to say it here, maybe to push him to do it because I think he should do it. It should be on Coolio Kid Films
Yeah,
because you said it
so
was his video, right?
it is his video technically. Yeah, it will be on Double O Studios for sure though. As for him posting it, I mean that's on him. But yeah, you can go ahead and put on there if you want.
Okay. Yeah, I gave it an 8.5.
Dang.
So
Okay.
this I have never actually seen this. There's a couple of videos on here I'd never seen before. What's in the Box was one of them. And yeah, I've
Mhm.
never actually seen The Dinner. I didn't even know it existed until like a month ago. So I was
Yeah.
kind of excited to watch this. And it was shot really well. It
Yeah.
looks really good. And I thought the story was just great.
Yeah.
Um, I thought the music was really good. I thought the acting was I won't say great, I'll say good.
Mhm.
Um, great escalation of the story. I put on here enough nitpicks to not be an A.
Mhm.
I put one in here, I can't even read it. Oh, like a couple jump cuts. But overall, like I watched it. I remember as I'm watching this, like I was reacting as if I was watching something on TV. I was like, "Whoa, what? What the?" Like, let's get into this. This was really good.
Mhm.
This was. I
Yeah.
don't know if we should like talk about the plot or not. I don't know if it'll be up yet or not.
No. Well, um, I might upload it Friday this week maybe.
Okay, so then we
So.
can talk about plot. Um, yeah, basically, I mean, the premise is just like this guy is like this really like twisted, devout, like preacher, just
Mhm.
a Christian or a preacher. I don't know what he exactly his role
So.
is, but he's listening to this thing about sinners or this talk about sinners, and he basically he kidnaps these two like I guess what they were just having sex, and he
Mhm.
kills one of them, and he kills the dude, and he hooks him. And I remember when it revealed that I
Mhm.
was like, what? And he's trying to make the girl eat him. And yeah, that was
Mhm.
just this was whack. This was good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I actually okay, so first of all, I completely agree with you. I actually gave it an 8 just because I didn't give it an 8.5 just because of the acting and some the coloring is a little off. I'm not gonna lie.
I
The
actually
color
kind of
was a
like
little
that. I thought it helped contribute to the mood.
okay. That's fair. I think some of the acting, or the audio quality and the acting is, but it is an 8 for sure. Like I put an 8 out of 10. Um, yeah, I remember when I watched this again, I was like, holy crap! Like I don't remember this being this good. Like I remember
Yeah,
when I first saw it, for some reason I wasn't that into it, but nowadays, yeah, I'm into this. Like I put really interesting story, great production, an original story. Yeah, like Jake, he wrote a really good
yeah,
script, and I don't know if he's watching this, but dude, like, you made like what 4 videos,
yeah,
and one of them is an 8 out of 10. Like, that's crazy. Like, I honestly think you should do more acting, and I think you should do more writing because this one is actually very, very interesting, and it was written really well. Like,
yeah,
and we also edited. I don't remember. I think I might have edited this. I don't know who edited it. I think it was me, but we did good because like the radio, like it sounds like someone on a radio. Like
yeah. It does.
it's great. Like this is such a fun movie. And I remember when it first came out, the severed foot looked kind of fake, but nowadays, like watching it, it's like actually that looks kind of believable.
Yeah.
Like
Like obviously, I knew it was fake and I could tell it was fake, but it wasn't like cringe fake.
yeah, it was like okay, they tried. Like that was actually kind of
Yeah.
decent. Like yeah.
Yeah, let's throw that sucker where it belongs.
I'm actually very excited to upload that and because like Underground is doing really well for some reason, and I feel like the dinner is gonna do extremely well. So
So the next one we're going to talk about then is Intruder. This one's
okay,
currently available on Double O Studio. This was a Double O Studio production, a pretty big production too. I was watching the end credits and I was like, "Wow, that's crazy."
did the credits say how much it was?
No, it's just like how many people were involved.
Oh
The
yeah,
scale of it,
yeah,
that's crazy.
dude,
Um,
it was like 150K production.
Dang. So what was like? Is this something you and Andy put on then?
So the film school gave us all that stuff. So like basically we had to sign a waiver saying like you're renting out a $30,000 camera. You're renting out all this stuff. So at the end of the day, the budget came out to like I think it was 100K. I can't remember, but it was huge. And we had all this equipment, and we're like, dude, this is like 100K production. Like if we break any of this, like we're screwed.
That makes me love it even more. I didn't know that. I thought it was just that because like the cops come in at the end, and I was like, I wasn't expecting that. And like they actually come in and they look like real cops, and it looked like a real car outside. I was like, holy smokes! I'm like, dude, this is on the next level.
You never
Um,
seen it?
I had seen it before.
Oh.
It was a long time ago, so I forgot that. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I thought
Hmm.
John's acting was kind of bad, kind
Hmm.
of okay, but I thought Ray did really good. I think he's a really good actor.
He is.
It
He is.
looks good. It was shot well. The story
Hmm.
was interesting. It leaves you on that ending clincher too, where it's like,
Hmm.
was he really telling the truth?
Hmm.
Massive production. Some of the dialogue did feel a little clunky though.
Hmm.
But that's really it. Like, this is definitely a B. I don't think it's an A, but it is definitely a B. This was,
I
yeah,
I 100% agree with you. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Um, Everything you said was basically true. Like, holy crap! Like that ending scene too with the cops. Oh, it looks
yeah,
so good. It looks so great. And like when Ray stands up and the camera's shaky, oh, it
yeah.
feels like a movie. It feels like
It
you're
does.
watching a movie.
And you got
Like,
that aspect ratio in there, the 235 to 1, which is just, oh, chef's kiss.
yeah, yeah. No,
And
the
the
thing.
lighting is good too. That was something that you could have very easily screwed up, but the lighting, like it works.
Mhm.
Yeah,
No,
it's
this what kills this film from not being in a 9, like, it's always gonna be an 8, but from not being in a 9, what kills it is 2 things. The long monologue scene between Ray and John. First of all, there's a lot of bad takes. It's boring, like, it kinda just drags out. I mean, it's not boring, but it's also not very, you know, interesting at the same time, I guess. Um, and the other thing I don't like is there's a scene where John's undressing and he hears something in the kitchen, and he goes to put his pants down, and you cannot see anything. Like, it is so dark. And I remember shooting that. I was like, you can't see anything. But we were running so late on time. Like, we just kind of kept going. Um, like, yeah, man, like that scene with Ray and John sitting in the room together. That was shot at like 1 and 2 in the morning, 1 or 2 in the morning. Like, yeah, we
That's
were
crazy.
going we were going late on this production. Yeah, I agree. 8 out of 10 could have been so much better, but it is also not bad as well.
All right. So our last 2020 video is, or sorry, no, we have two more 2020 videos. Never mind. Our next video we're going to talk about is The Intruder,
That's so funny that they're right
not
next to
to
each
get
other.
confused with Intruder. This one's available on Nuclear Films. I don't know how I did, and I'm kind of embarrassed, but I initially forgot this, so I did watch it, but I didn't write any notes down. Um,
Wait,
so,
are you going?
oh yeah, my bad. It's your good.
Um,
This one's available
so,
on Nuclear Films.
oh yeah, did we say that Intruder was available on Double O Studios?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Um, So I have a funny story about this. So I remember when my Intruder got released, I was talking to Yakerson about it, and he was like, "Why'd you steal the name?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "I just named my film Intruder." And I'm like, "Really?" And I go to his channel and I see the Intruder. I'm like, "No freaking way! What are the coincidences of that?" And I told him, I remember, I'm like, "Dude, I didn't steal this from you. I'm serious. Like, we just happened to name two films the same thing at the same time." So luckily he put the Intruder.
Yeah, I
But
remember
yeah,
you telling
I
me about that.
I thought that was really crazy. I was like, no way. Um, you're gonna be surprised. I actually gave this an 8. Um, I thought I thought it was short. I thought it was very short and sweet. But for what it is, I actually give it a lot of props. Like, I think it has great lighting, good directing. The visual, it's all visual, which is what I love. I love when we do things harder without dialogue and we just show it. I think that's very interesting. Um, there's some good production. The story is a little underwhelming. This is one of those where it's like I gave it a high ranking just because of how well it was shot and everything. But the story was a little underwhelming. Like, it was kind of like, okay, she just shoots him and that's it. Like, I can see this being a 7, but I remember watching it and I was like, wow, like that was actually kind of good. I don't know if it's on the same level of Intruder actually, but like, go ahead.
I actually gave it a 6 out of 10. And it was
Dang. Okay.
mainly because of the story. It was just like, what was the point of watching this? It was the most basic thing ever. No lasting takeaway. Like, I watched The Intruder and there's a takeaway. There's something that sticks with me,
Hmm.
right? But I watched this and I'm just like, okay, what's next?
Yeah, I get
I
it.
think I could compromise with you on a C, but I definitely don't think it's on B tier.
No, you're right. You're right. After like putting it next to the other Intruder, I don't think it is either. Let me just make sure though, because I know I said I want a compromise. I don't know if I want to compromise for that one,
That's
unless you'll
fair.
let me compromise again.
I feel like we might be on pretty much the same level on the majority of these.
Okay,
Um,
well, whatever. Just put it in C.
so our last 2020 video we're going to talk about is the Homeland Detective.
Okay.
This one's not available anywhere, but it will be. You're remastering it, right?
No, it'll be available on Double O
Yeah,
Studios. I don't know if it'll be on there when this video
probably
drops,
not.
but it will be on Double O Studios. So just say soon available on Double O Studios.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to completely remaster this.
Um, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
I thought the audio was kind of weak at some points, and there was a couple jump cuts that stuck out. Otherwise, I really like it. I thought it was a fun story, and a fun execution. I thought Jake does really good in the role.
Yeah.
Good cinematography, and I really love the part too where like, because basically the whole premise is he's searching for his sock, right?
Yeah.
There's two things I really love when like because it's in black and white when he's in his detective suit, and I really love that part where like you walk out and it's back to color and he's just in the hat.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
also really love when he's like he sees the dog and he's like, "Where is it? Where is it?" And I forgot what he says, but he says something to him, and I love that part. And
Yeah.
Emily
He's
was
like,
sitting. was watching that with me too, and she loved that part too. She thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, he's like, "Where's the sock, scumbag?"
Yeah, dude, Jake is like I feel like Jake is kind of somewhat typecast as like the Lucius type character, but he does really good in this role.
Dude, Jake needs to go to acting school.
Yeah, he does. Jake is really good as the Homeland Detective. Like that
Honestly,
line where he goes, "Where's the socks, scumbag?" Like that just makes it.
and poor Lance too. He's just like sitting there. Um, so correct me if I'm wrong, but you've never seen this before, right? Like
I
you.
think I had seen it once before when you
Oh,
first dropped it, but I
so
completely had forgotten about it. So
I agree with you. I think it's a 7 out of 10. It could have easily been an 8 with better production. And honestly, like when I re-upload it, it might be an 8 if I try to like fix it up a little bit. I don't know. But I said good OG story, and it was really fun. Like I think the premise is really cool. Like the black and white, the film noir is just all his imagination.
yeah,
And I just love the fact that the story is about him trying to find a sock, and it was in the detective book all along. And that's the whole point of the film too, is he's trying to be a detective. So it was just like, are you kidding me? It's like it's in the book.
yeah.
Um, and then he at the end he's like, oh, I gotta go find my bookmarker because it's like, well, why did I use a sock? So
The only other
yeah.
thing that I thought would have been funny too is if you had hit on it, and maybe it's too late to input that. I don't know if you could add that in or not, but when he takes the sock out of the bookmark and he realizes where's my bookmark, you also go like, wait, where's my page?
That's true. Now he doesn't have a pay.
All
All right.
right, yeah, it's earned its spot.
7 out of 10.
Okay, then now we're gonna talk about 2021, which is really short.
Yeah.
um, the first one is actually all three of these are nuclear films videos.
Okay.
The first one is The Visitor,
Okay.
and this one's currently available on Nuclear Films. Go ahead, take it away.
So this one is one of those videos that I will fight you on. like
Okay,
depending on what you give it. I actually gave this an 8 out of 10. Um
okay,
um I actually was very impressed. Like I actually you'll laugh. I actually gave this a 9 originally. I thought it was going to be the first 9. And then I was like, no, no, let me rewatch it to make sure. I rewatched it before filming this. I'm like, okay, no, 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 that's an 8. That's an 8. But I was very impressed. The production level that he did, like the gadgets and the fact. I mean, I know it's an iPad, but still, it looks so good. And he's got he's got like makeup on, and his dad's got like that thing, and they have like that whole set that they made, and they CGI'd a ship, and I was just very blown away by all that. I was like, dang, I don't remember all this when I first watched it. So I was very impressed by that. The story is good. We'll get to the story in a second. Location, editing, costume design, music. Um, I said all top tier stuff. The only issues I have with it um, is that it could have been so much better. Like some of the coloring, you could tell he just shot it and then just used the actual take. Like I wish he like made it look more like a film, like Intruder. You know what I mean? Um, there's a lot of shot structure that I wish he like fixed up. Um, and also the message, like the ending was kind of like, I don't like how it's just like, oh, I'm gonna take your planet. Like I'm glad that you lost. I don't like that. I also don't like how he just like somehow finds the only human left. I thought that was kind of dumb too. Like you land on this giant planet and you just so happen to find the only human. And then one other thing I noticed is that when his dad falls over, you can't see the chair anymore. So it's like that was an editing issue. The continuity. Go ahead.
so I actually gave it a 7.5.
Okay. Okay.
So, and I agree with a majority of what you said. And this is also like, I'll be honest, this is at the point too where like I know it was still like it was easy and fun to make fun of some of Yackerson's videos, but this is the part where like as they were coming out, my like this became like the guilty pleasure for me. Like I remember when this first came out, like it was like, what was that? Like like you said, like at first you didn't really like it that much, and I was like, oh yeah, it was bad. I'm like, I actually kind of liked it.
Yeah.
um, the only thing I don't like, and I think this is just enough to knock it down a lot for me, is the story, like, it just ends abruptly. And this is what I start to notice with a lot of Yackerson's videos from this point onwards, with the exception of Object of the Unknown, is they all feel like setups for something else. Like, they all feel like part of a video. Like, this feels like it should have been part of a story. And instead he made
Hmm.
this the whole story. And I don't know if maybe that's what he's going for, is he's trying to have like say less, but I feel like in a lot of cases it doesn't, it just kind of takes you out of it. Like in The Intruder, like there could have been a larger story at play there with like she has to, she feels bad about killing someone, but it ends. She kills someone, she feels bad, and it just stops. Inside, he works up the courage to go outside and it just stops. The
Hmm.
Visitor, this alien tries to investigate Earth. He converses with this human, and then he kills the human, and then goes, okay, we're gonna invade now, and it stops. Like they
Yeah.
feel like there's setups for something larger. And now if this was like part two, or if this was like part one of something else, then I could give it a pass for it. But because it's just its own self-contained thing, I don't think it works entirely. And that's why like I want to give it higher, but for me I'm like I can't give it higher than a C personally because it just stops. Otherwise, I agree, like
Mm.
it's shot really well, it's edited really well. It feels like a much better, bigger production than anything else he's done.
Okay. There is one that I will actually fight on you on no matter what it is.
Okay.
Um, so I'll go ahead and allow this, but I think it should be a little higher than a 7.5 personally. Like maybe like a 7.8 or something. If it's gonna be in C tier, a little higher. Cause like this was pretty good.
I agree. It was really good. And like I said, if it was a part one, this would be a much higher for me. This would probably be an 8 for sure.
Okay. All right. I'll allow that. It's fine.
The next one we're going to talk about is Interrogation Room.
Oh, all right. Where is that?
This one's also available on Nuclear Films.
Um. Okay, I see where you're coming from. You just made that point. Well, that point is probably going to be made for this as well.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I gave it a 6 out of 10. Honestly, it should be higher, like a 6.5, I guess. Like it should be close to a 7. But what the heck was that? Like that was just so underwhelming, and it is so short, ended abruptly. Confusing. Um, I said production is good though, and acting is good. So I mean, it looks great. It was acted great, but again, like I okay, now I understand where you're coming from. Like, why? Well, it was so underwhelming. Ended abruptly. It was confusing. What was the point? Like, why? So
Yeah.
go ahead. You're probably the same thing, but yeah, I get what you're saying now.
Pretty much. And I gave it a 7 out of 10, but I think we can go down to D tier on this. And like, I put in here like fun while it lasted. Like, what was the point? It was too short. Everything else was fine, like production wise. I really liked how they edited the whole Andrew and the cloak thing. That was really cool. But
Well,
it.
what?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Well, go ahead.
Originally like when I watched this, I gave it a 6.9 actually because I thought it should be a 7, and then today I was thinking about it. I'm like, it's like a 6.5 or a 6.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you want it in C tier, I don't mind. I almost gave it a C.
It's just like you said it. It's just like, what was the point of watching this? Like, it doesn't matter how well you produce it. If there's no point to watching it, then ultimately you're just wasting your time.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like he walks in and he's like, okay, we're gonna interrogate you, and it ends. I think I think the problem is like Chris has to remember, and again, this is just constructive criticism. Like I'm not trying to be rude or anything. I just think when you're gonna be a writer and a filmmaker, you have to remember like first of all your audience, and what, the moral, the purpose, the reason for this to exist. Like there's always a reason, and I feel like with this, I just don't know what to take away from that. Like he tried something with like the jump scare with Andrew, but like that setup isn't paid off. Like I don't know what that was supposed to mean. Like is he just scared? Like anyone would be scared or like start to see things.
Yeah.
So like, what are you trying to say at the end of the day? And I don't know if there was like production issues behind this, like it was just quick or something. But I feel like if you're gonna upload something, make it at least like have a meaning. You know what I mean?
Right.
So D tier, unfortunately.
All right. I'm excited to talk about this one. The
What is
next one we're
this?
going to talk about is Object of the Unknown.
Okay. All right. And
This is
I'm
on
going right.
Nuclear Films. This is the remake, by the way, the 2021 remake. Take it away.
Okay. So this might be controversial.
Okay.
So this is gonna be fun. This might be a minute of talking right
Is
here.
this the one you want to fight me on?
No, I have another one I
Okay.
want to fight you on. I actually gave this a 7.5.
Okay.
Now, you're probably like, "What the heck?" I don't know if you gave it higher or not. I In my notes, I really, like in all caps, really wanted to give this an 8 out of 10. I think it should be an 8 out of 10. I even put it could even be a 9 out of 10. But honestly, this is what I wrote. This is the longest notes I've ever had for any of these ranking videos. Like this note is long. I put honestly, after watching it, I was loving it and disappointed with it. Like at the same time. Um it's confusing because Yak has great shots and bad shots in the same film. And this is that we're going back to that point I was making earlier. I don't know why he does this, but this film has awesome shots, awesome acting, and then at the same time has bad acting, bad shots, great sound, bad sound. Um, and then also like at the beginning, coloring is so bad. Like, why so blue? Like it's just like jarring to look at in the beginning. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but in the desert, like it's so blue. Like the coloring is not there. Um, the story is great, but there's a lot of things that don't make sense. Like, how do they escape in the beginning? Like the dude runs up with a car, starts shooting, and you got five CIA agents that are just dodging and just decide to all get in the car.
Yeah.
Like that does not make sense. That actually kind of made me mad. I was like, why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. And then I said, um, why did Cross not remember he had translations in his office? Like that just makes the whole beginning kind of dumb because then he has to go to his office. Like what? Um, and this is the same problem with the OG. I hate how the feds just show up out of nowhere at the end. I hate that. It's like it's just such lazy writing. Like why? Why are they there? How did they find out about you? Like it I don't know. I don't like that. I love the locations though. That ending scene where they're in Flagstaff, that was top tier stuff. Like I was very proud of that. Um, Directing and fight scenes are really good, but man, like, and what was that aspect ratio? Did you notice that? There's like a weird aspect ratio.
Where it's like it's got it on the sides.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if that's just me or if it was just the video or not. I don't know.
no, it's like that on nuclear films. You pull it up and it has like this weird aspect
Okay.
ratio.
I was worried that that was something for me downloading it, and I was like, "Huh, that's interesting." Okay.
No, it's on nuclear films. So I don't know, man. I think this one is so. I would say a 7.8 actually, but I think it, yeah, I think it's just shy of an 8 out of 10.
I did give it an 8 out of 10. And I'll be
Okay.
honest, I remember when this came out too. This was when we were on the Oregon trip, and I remember like Hunter was or Jake and Hunter were like, "Oh, did you guys see it? It's up!" And we were all watching or gonna watch it, and I remember you guys were all like, "Yeah, that was bad. It was okay, but it was still kind of bad." And I remember I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to watch this and make fun of it." And I watched it when you and Jake went to the casino, and I watched it and I was like, "Oh, well, I actually kind of like this one too." Um, really big production, so I'll give him props for that.
Yeah.
Still a great story, good acting. But I put in here like enough nitpicks to not be an A. Like audio, like I went into this thinking kind of want to give this an A maybe, but there's just a lot of nitpicks in there, like audio, like you said. There's a shot too where Andrew's CIA agent like tracks or corners them in the office, and you could see when like in this shot of like when Jake surrenders, Bob is sitting in the back, crouched down on the ground. I'm like, how did you let that slide? Um, I put on there really good locations though. Overall, definitely one of the best nuclear films videos, but I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is a high C.
I think wow, that was a voice crack. I think if you're gonna hype up, especially a remake, if you're gonna say like this is better than the original, you better bring it to the table. And I don't know why, but he brought it to the table and then did not bring it to the table at the same time.
Yeah.
I agree with you. This is one of his best. This should be like a high ranked film. I just don't know if it belongs on the same level as like The Dinner or Intruder. You know what I mean? Like it it just has so many issues too. Like that could have I think that's the big thing. Those could have easily been avoided. Like
Yeah.
why did you color it like that? Why did you, do all these other things that I mentioned? I just think it has lost potential that could have easily been avoided. So I don't know. I feel like a high C, almost an 8. And I hate saying that because I was so excited to watch it.
I was
I
too.
thought I thought it was going to be an 8 or a 9, but yeah.
All I could say is with how this one turned out, because I think we can agree it obviously turned out a lot better. When we reboot in Legends.
No.
Okay. On to 2022, where we have two videos to talk about.
Okay.
So the first one is Holding Hope, currently available on Nuclear Films.
Okay.
Um, Go ahead, you take it.
Um what was this one again? This
This
was
was
like
Yak's talk show.
oh, okay. I gave it a 6.5.
Okay.
Um it's a little long and boring to get through, but I like the premise and acting, and I thought it was edited, and I thought the ending was really cool. How it's like a talk show that gets interrupted. I thought that was really unique. Um, but I think it just drags on, and I know this is the same thing as What's in the Box. Like this is the same school project. Um, I don't know. To me, it's like on the same level as What's in the Box. Like it's just kind of drags on. It just kind of gets boring after a while.
I do think it's better overall than What's in the Box.
Hmm.
I gave it a 7 out of 10, but I think because of a point that I've been thinking about since, we can put it in D tier, and I'll explain why in a second. Um, I did think that for the, especially considering what the project was, because I could figure out as soon as I saw that you guys both had one like this, I'm like, okay, this is clearly the same school project. It's definitely an interesting premise as far as that project goes, I'm sure. And I'm
Hmm.
sure that got him some brownie points in class. But then at the
Yeah.
same time, what comes with that is it's like, okay, but then at the same time, we're in the middle of this like planetary intergalactic war, and we have time for a talk show?
Yeah, it was a little confusing. Like, who's watching this?
Yeah.
Like,
Um, it, the other thing I put on here was like the acting was kind of meh. Still an interesting premise, but I think the main thing that kind of like makes me as a viewer question, and I know well, I'll say that in a second. To me as a viewer, I question, right, because they use the an image of the spaceship from the Visitor, but then I'm like, well, in that the alien first arrives on mankind's planet or on Earth, and mankind's already dead. There's only one guy left, and he's like, yeah, mankind destroyed itself 6 years ago. But then in here, aliens have been attacking and destroying humanity as time went on. So it's like, is this canon? Is this not canon? Is this his own thing? But then you use the same image from that video, but then like, and I asked, yeah, and he cleared it up, right? Like he goes, well, they're kind of just like alternate realities for how that could have played out. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's an interesting creative choice if that's the hill you want to die on. But I started thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, well, if that's how he wants to do it, so be it. But that's not communicated to an audience member. And so I can't, just because I have that personal benefit of that access to Yackerson to figure that out, as an audience member, how was I to have that? Like, if I'm just someone watching this, right? Like, let's say I showed this to my grandparents and they're like, well, this is kind of confusing. What's going on here? Like, they don't have that ability. They're just like, well, that's kind of weird. So I think overall, yeah, I think a 6 out of 10 because he needs to get his canon figure out with what he's doing with this, and then we'll talk about Xenobacillus in a second. But like, what is the storyline he's trying to tell here?
Yeah.
Like the only way that he can kind of reconcile that is if his dad's character was just utterly retarded in that first one, and mankind was still around. But then he's like, "Oh, mankind was bickering," but like, I don't know, man.
You're thinking too much into the canon.
I love my canon.
Yes, you do. Um. Oh yeah, we already talked about it. I thought I was supposed to talk about it now.
Oh
Um.
yeah. Nah, we can put that in D tier then.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Okay, the other 2022 video we're going to talk about is Wilderness Conveys.
Okay, real quick before you talk about this one, I just want to say for some reason the quality is a lot lower on YouTube. I have no idea why. It shouldn't be that. The quality shouldn't look like that. When I uploaded it, it was good quality. So if you rank it lower because of that, like that's just disappointing on my part because I don't know why it uploaded like that. But go ahead, go ahead.
I wasn't going to actually say anything about that. In fact, I thought it looks really good.
Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
This is available on Double O Studio, and I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Wow. Okay.
Um, there's some nitpicks, but I thought it has a really good moral, really good message. I thought it was shot pretty well. It flows. I didn't realize it was 6 minutes long when I watched it, or 5 or 6 minutes. I thought it was shorter. I was like, wow, this is kind of long, but it didn't feel like that. Really good music, mostly good effects, except for the wind. I could obviously tell that was the wind blower or the leaf
Yeah.
blower.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I didn't have a lot to say. I liked it. And Emily liked it too. She watched it with me. I don't remember if she gave it a score or not, but she liked it too.
Okay. I mean, I'm gladly happy, and I will keep it at 8. I I gave it a 7, just because, yeah, like the leaf blower and some of the coloring was off, and on my screen it looked kind of bad. I don't know why the image quality looked bad. Maybe I was watching it like at a lower quality on YouTube. I don't know. But yeah, OG story, easy to watch, fun, very good premise. I feel like, and also like obviously the message is very simple and it's a good message, but I love the way I told that message because
Yeah.
you could just have anyone go out and throw trash on the floor and be like, hey, pick that up, and then hey, don't litter. Like that's the thing, right? But in this one, it's like the plants freak out. He gets smacked in the face by a tree, and then he wakes up around plants, and there's just like this suspicious character,
Yeah.
and I love that. Like that's just so unique.
We
Like
were
I think that's
watching that, and as soon as that deer thing pops up, Melanie was like,
it's very interesting. So, yeah, I would gladly put it at 8 if you
I think
want
it
to.
earns it. I think you got to give yourself some credit every once in a while.
Okay.
Now on to 2023. The next
Oh
one we're going to
no.
talk about is currently available on John Movies and Darth Momo. I might take it off Darth Momo eventually. Um, Buckaroo 2, Buckquel, which is completely and wholeheartedly canon.
All right, I'll take it away.
What'd you give it?
6 out of 10.
Woo!
This is one of those where for the memes, it's a 6 out of 10. Like it's iconic and hilarious, and for the meme, that's all I put. Like,
Yeah.
um, I don't know. I guess this is also one where it's just like personally I like it because I was there and it's just funny. Like from someone that's like an outsider that is watching this, obviously they have no idea what this is referencing to, and it's probably gonna be really cringe. But for me, I love it.
So
So yeah.
I gave it a 6 out of 10 as well, and here's why I don't think we should just be ranking it just because we personally like it. Like in the beginning, the very first thing you see is referencing the fact that you're allowed to use copyrighted material to parody. So right off the bat, this tells you we're parodying this. This is for fun. This is meant to be a parody. This isn't meant to be a legitimate production like the first one was. This is meant to be a parody. We're having
Mhm.
fun. So that automatically right there changes the rules. This
Okay.
isn't like, I'm trying to think of what's another video. This isn't like Legends where you're just sitting there laughing at it because it's so bad. Like this is something where like it's meant to laugh. This is meant to poke fun.
Yeah.
This isn't like you're watching a really bad Star Wars spinoff. This is like you're watching Spaceballs.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So for that, I say like it says that right off the bat. Like the intro's funny when it goes previously on Buckaroo. The whole thing just flows. It's quick. It's funny. I love the end too. Where like I'm on the car. I'm like ah
And this is the only times Isaiah is in a film.
yeah. This I
That's
actually think is the best Buckaroo.
I agree with that actually.
Woo! So with that, we're gonna throw it in D tier.
Yeah. With that in mind, I do again. I still believe Buckaroo, the first one, should also be in D tier. But just saying that, I'm just throwing that out.
So the next one we're gonna talk about is currently on Nuclear Films, Xenobacillus.
Okay,
Is this what you were gonna
Th-
fight me on?
this is the one I'm going to fight you on.
What do you want to give it? Tell me.
A 9.
Woo!
I want to give this a 9 out of 10. Yagerson, if you're watching, just got to give you some claps because I literally put Yak. That is your best film. Um, there's still some issues, as always. There's always issues, right? But for the most part, this was insane. I was like, whoa, like, um, I would say great acting, great costume design, sets, lighting, good OG story. Like, I don't know, man. Like this one, I feel like Intruder, my Intruder, looks a lot better, right? But it is not executed as good. Whereas this one maybe has some really great scenes that look like Intruder, but then has a lot of scenes that doesn't. But it doesn't matter because this was executed really well. So this was the first one I believe ever to be an A tier, and I wanted to fight you on that because I don't know. I think he deserves it. I think this one should be an A tier. But again, I'm not gonna say that. I shouldn't say that because you haven't gone yet.
Well,
But
you're gonna be really disappointed. I actually gave it a 5 out of 10.
no, you didn't.
Now I gave it a 9.
Oh, that's
This
crazy.
was really good. I
Yeah,
agree. Really good story. Some legitimate tension. I don't remember what moment, but there were some moments where I had some legitimate tension with this.
yeah,
Um, Massive production. Just like your Intruder video, this was a massive production, and I give him credit for that. Acting was mostly good. And one thing, I think we could say this about almost everyone in our friend group, but most of us, I think, are better off behind the camera than in front of it or trying to do
mhm,
both. And I'm glad Yak recognized that and cast some actual actors. And obviously, he showed up, but he more or less, I could tell, was behind the camera. And I think that also benefited because not only was he, well, I think he's a decent actor in his own right. Not only was he behind the camera to help fulfill his vision, but then he cast some people who could actually act and do what needed to be done.
yeah.
Um, what else did I have on here? Acting was mostly good. Music is a little old though, but I had fun watching this. Good camera. The camera looks good. The only other problems I would say with this is it still kind of has that abrupt ending problem that a lot of his other recent videos
It
have.
does. It does.
And I hope, I don't know if he wants to undertake this, but I hope he either, if he decides to keep going with productions, I think he should either A, remake Rodder, or B, make a sequel to this.
Well, he should make a sequel to this because it ends like I agree with you. It's another one of those that just ends out of nowhere, and it's just like, okay, well, what happens? Like, he should totally. If you're watching this, you need to make a sequel. You
Yeah.
need to continue this story because it is awesome, and it just ends abruptly. And I want to see what happens to these
Yeah.
characters. Like, I actually really like these
I'll help you
characters.
make it if you want. Like, I would love to see what happens next.
Heck, I'll help you make it too if you have a budget and you can afford it. I'll fly out and make it. um, but yeah, I really love. And isn't it crazy that Chris Jackerson has the first A tier?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Props to you, man. Great title, by the way, too. Like, it's just so it already drags you in just by that title. Like, what is
Yeah.
that? How do you even say that? You know?
This just from
Um,
the get-go feels different from the rest of his
and,
videos.
and I was blown away too, because like that president scene, like, who's that president? Where'd he get these people? Like, who's the woman that's dressed like an alien? Like, actually, where did he film that? Like, where did he get that
Yeah, I was
presidential?
thinking about that too the other day, actually. One
Where
thing
did
I
he?
really like too is like you remember when when Clone Wars season 7 came out and the animation already looked a lot better than the rest of the
Mhm,
show, but then the last 4 episodes hit and the animation was even better than the rest of season 7. It was kind
mhm.
of the same thing here. Like that president scene, like not only is this video on a different level with quality wise, but then that president scene feels like it's on an even different level of quality.
Yeah, like I was just kind of shocked. I was like, how did he pull that off? Like, where was that shot? Who's the president? Where did he get that
Yeah.
podium? Who's that
Oh, the
lady?
president is actually the state. It's one of his old state presidents.
But like, where'd they shoot that? And
Yeah.
why does like the presidential podium look so real? Like, yeah, that is the best film on his channel. Probably one of the best out of everyone's films. A tier is crazy. First A tier, awesome.
Good job, Yak. Good job, and I mean that. That was good.
Yeah,
Um, the next one we're gonna talk about is on Double O Studio. This one is called The Pianist.
yeah.
I gave this one a 7 out of 10.
Okay,
It's produced pretty much perfectly. I put produced perfectly. The only problem is the story. What is the story?
yeah,
I know it's in the description, and but it doesn't like you have to read the description to figure out what the story is. I don't think
yeah.
it's communicated that well. Just like Emily and I were talking about it because we both were like, yeah, it looks good, but just one line of dialogue. That's all it would have taken. One line of dialogue to completely bump this up to an 8.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Um, but otherwise, everything else was good. It's kind of like the Interrogation Room. Like production wise, it's fine. It's just the story and the length. But
I,
I think it's still a C tier.
I agree with you. I actually put 7 out of 10 too. I put short, sweet, simple. Looks amazing. Like every shot looks so good. An original story and all visual too, which I like. I like when things are told visually. Yeah, the message is a little unclear. You have to like either kind of really watch it again or read the description, but you know what happens, right? Like you
Yeah,
you get it. Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Emily made
So
the joke though. She's like, I told her what the story was. She's like, clearly he's still mastering his masterpiece.
rip.
Okay, the next one
Oh my
is gonna
god.
be a little differently.
Dang.
So this one was a 2023 production, but it hasn't
Mhm.
been made on available on YouTube yet. So while you might be confused by that, those who are watching, it has aired in festivals. So it's still aired, it just hasn't been on YouTube yet. It's still running its course through another festival. More on that in just a second. So it won't be on YouTube until at the very soonest, January 2025.
Yeah.
So because of that, as you'll notice in our screen, I actually have the trailer playing. I will not be playing the actual video. Um, and we're gonna keep this very, very, very maybe light spoilery at most, but we're not gonna
Mhm.
really talk about plot on it. More so our just our thoughts. Um, but this one is also different for a couple other reasons. One, Cole, this is an award-winning film in a film festival. You want to talk about
It
that for just
is.
a second?
Yes, that's crazy. In fact, I'm getting goosebumps right now. Just this is an accomplishment. Like yeah, this is an award-winning film. It officially won Best Short Film in Cincinnati, Ohio. It is still in other film festivals, so it could be a multi-winner. But right now, it's an officially an award-winning film, and I just feel very proud of myself. Honestly, like I can now officially say I'm an award-winning filmmaker. Like I feel like I've accomplished something, and I think I told you this before. Like if because I'm out in Georgia right now, and if my career doesn't work out here, I think I can die happy knowing that I produced a film and made a film that is an award-winning film. Like I think at the end of the day, that is really cool. and I'm very proud of myself for that. So, yeah, it will screen in January in Ohio of next year, and we'll see. It could be the other films at that festival. It could be the winner of the entire festival of Cincinnati. So we'll see. That'll be in January. But
Awesome.
yeah, I am very. Thank you for letting me do that real quick. But
You're welcome. Well, there's more too. The other thing is, first off, you should be proud because as someone who has seen this twice, actually being lucky enough, it is really well done. And you should be proud of yourself because that was really good. The other thing is, this is the first and only video any of us have ever made that is actually aired on a theater screen in
that's
an
true.
actual movie theater. January 6th, 2024, for one screening, you got to air this at AMC in Duluth, right? Is that where it's at?
In Duluth, Georgia. Yep.
Yeah. How does
Yep.
that
That's crazy.
feel?
Oh man, that's crazy. If you want, I'll send you some photo of videos so you can put it on here if you
Sure.
want of the screen of the screening of the theater. But oh my god, dude, I'll never forget that. That's a lifetime achievement right there too. I remember all my you know, not crew, but coworkers. They a lot of them, came. They were off that day, and a lot of people came out of their way to sit in that theater and watch that film. And I remember, I played the movie. I ran downstairs because I was in box office, right? Like I had to
Hmm.
actually like play it on the projector, and I ran downstairs, sat in that theater, looked up, and I'm like, "Holy crap!" Like my movie is on the big screen right now. Like that's crazy, and people are watching it. Like this is wild. Like
I,
yeah,
I really wish that money would have allowed us to be there because that would have been cool to see.
yeah, yeah. I don't know how. I think the screening in Cincinnati that might be on a theater. We'll see. We'll
That
see.
would be
But
cool.
but yeah, that was a once in a lifetime moment right there. I'll never forget that. That is really cool. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it's the only film out of all of our group that has actually been on a movie theater screen.
So to discuss it very briefly, of course, not getting into plot details. I await the day when everybody watching this will get an opportunity to watch it as well. But I gave it a 10 out of 10. This was
Dang.
this was perfection. This was a phenomenal story. Phenomenal. Well, this was sorry, phenomenal acting. Great story. The audio is perfect. Locations are great. A beautiful ending. I actually teared up a little bit during part of this. Um,
Oh.
everything was calm. This was great job at getting us to connect with the character. Great job. Like my wife and I watched this together the first time you showed it, and then the other day when we watched this again, my wife and I watched this together, and she actually said 11 out of 10. This was like we actually like this felt like we were watching Stranger Things again together. Like this had, roller coasters, obviously like different genre or whatever, but this had roller coasters. This we got into this. This felt like we were watching something real. Like it looks legit. It is just it's written legit. It's got emotion to it. It's just this is the first standard, and if you disagree, I will fight you on this. This goes in S tier. This belongs in S tier. I know you're trying to be objective, but give yourself some credit, pal. This is S tier.
Thank you so much. That really, dang, I'm getting goosebumps. Like that means a lot. You just kind of like threw a bunch of emotions at me. That's really nice of you. I really appreciate that. Um, dang, that's crazy. That's crazy. You gave it an S tier. I can't even believe that. I didn't know if you were or not. I didn't know, but um, I gave it a 9.5 just because you know nothing is perfect, right? Like nothing is. No matter what you do, nothing is perfect. Like
Well, unless it's
um
Empire Strikes Back.
um, so I didn't want to just be like, oh, this is a 10 out of 10 because there's a few things I don't like. and I can't really explain that right now because I don't want to spoil it. Um, but I would gladly accept it in S tier. I think that's the first one, which I'm honored, and yeah. Let me see what else I put. Best film I've ever worked on has that. Wait, has that one coming up in the shed? Oh, yeah. I just said I can't really talk about that, but yeah, that's crazy. I really appreciate that. S tier is wild.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's I. So when it does air, it will be on Double O Studio. But yeah, it's wonderful. I wait for you guys to see it because it's really well done. The
Thank
next
you.
one we're going to talk about is also available. This is actually available on Double O Studio. Number 5. Um,
Okay.
I gave this one a 9.5 out of 10,
Wow. Dang. Okay.
and
Okay.
Emily really liked it too. I don't remember what she said, but she really liked it. Audio was a tad weird in the beginning. Otherwise, it was a fun story, good chemistry. I love the twist at the end. Great cinematography and camera quality. The first line sets the mood very well. Like the music, and you're like, you gonna turn that off? Like that sets the mood very well. And like I was watching this, and I'm like, I wonder what where this is all going or what the end goal is gonna be. And then at the end when you like disappear and you were all in his head, I was like, whoa. Like I had like a something reminiscent of a Sixth Sense moment. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. That's that's
So
crazy.
yeah, I think it's an A.
Okay. Wow. That actually also hit me with emotions. I didn't think you were gonna give it an A. I gave it an 8 out of 10, but I will gladly accept an A, obviously. um, um, but I put love the story and production. There's some bad moments and cringe. There's like some cringe moments. My acting and his acting. And there's also one error, and if I tell you this, you'll never unsee it.
Don't
But
tell
do you
me
want
that.
me to?
I don't want to know.
Don't tell
I
me.
don't want to
Okay.
know.
Okay. But I love the twist. I think the thing about this one that is really crazy is this is probably the one of the deepest, besides Criminals. This is probably one of the deepest films out there that we've all made. You know what I mean?
Now that you
It's
say that, yeah, you're right.
so yeah, I don't know. It's about tackling your hardest demons, and yeah. So 9 out of 10 is perfectly fine for me.
Eh, the last 2023 video we're going to talk about is currently available on Ja Movies and Darth Momo. Um, Buckaroo 3.
um, I gave it a 6 out of 10.
Really? Okay.
Iconic and hilarious for the memes. So when we all watched this in Prescott, remember that one time we were all watching it?
Yeah, when you saw it for the first time.
Oh yeah, I think that was the last time I watched it actually. But anyway, um, no, I saw it before that. I thought I saw it before that.
No, you saw it one time when we went out to Georgia. We watched it again.
Oh, okay, never mind. Well, I just remember the last time I watched it, I was like, okay, this is kind of cringe. But watching it by myself, I really enjoyed it. And I think it goes back to the second one where it's just like I had a lot of fun with it by myself because you just messing around in the pool with a floaty. It's just so stupid, but it's so funny. And then Kyle just being like, he's I'm not even gonna say it, but and then like the ending montage is hilarious. And then I love when you put could get bought out by Disney. I love that.
I actually gave it a 5 out of 10. I think the actual video part with me in the pool is a little cringy. Um, but yeah, I love some of the jokes when Kyle's like he's extremely autistic. And then I love the beginning when it goes PG or when it goes rated C for cringe.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
And then I love too when like I do the opening flashbacks, I mirror my own video. Um, and yeah, I love the because this was just like the second one. This was one that was very on the fly too. My brother was just like, "Hey, let's make Buckaroo 3." I'm like, "Okay." I love at the end when I'm like, this is the end until Disney buys it. It's got evil Mickey in there.
I love that.
And then, like, the ending montage is one of the most beautiful things I think I've ever created. I had just watched the Vacation movie for, like, the first time around this point in time, so I was like, "I wanna do, like, an ending montage to, like, tie it all up and insert, like, things from the 3 videos, of course, but also random images as well." And, like, I wanna play Holiday Road on it because 'cause I'm like, "Holiday Road is a perfect song for this."
Mhm.
And yeah, it's just like you've got me riding a different dinosaur. You've got me riding this like deer thing. You've got me stuck on a trash can.
Yeah.
And then I love all the
Cameron!
jokes too, like guy who punched Yak, a saint, which that's really bad, but at the same time it's kind of funny too. And then you credit like OG Buckaroo and like Junior Buckaroo. Like I put Yak as like nuclear films head honcho.
And then you put some, like, filming location, some random parking lot.
Yeah, a random parking lot. And I've also put in there like Redacted's pool. If I was ranking the montage alone, I would give that a 9 out of 10. And I love like some of the shots of like Yackerson. Like I think one of the ones I have of him are like him pulling on the lasso. He's like, I think the second Buckaroo is better, and I kind of think the first one's better too. But obviously, I love all three of them.
Yeah, me
So what do you
too.
want to do on this one? Because I gave it a 5 and you gave it a 6.
I mean, I think it deserves a 6.
Perhaps. All right. What the heck? Since it's my video, I feel kind of bad putting this one down here though because we put that one up.
That's what I was trying to tell you. I'm
You know
like, I
what?
don't think.
We can adjust that up there.
Woo!
But we're gonna put them in order. This one's the best one, and then we'll go down the line.
Thank you. I know the first one's a meme, but you got to give it some credit.
You know what? I will because I read in his description that this was part of like a 2 hour create and edit a film contest, and they actually won it. So I'll give him props for that.
Yeah.
It can go in D tier. Imagine like Yackerson watching this and getting mad at first that we put it in F tier, and then he gets to the end of the video, he's like, I guess there was no danger after all. All right, the last video we're going to talk about is in 2024, and this one is available on both Double O Studio and Jaw Movies, but I'm going to put my channel first because it needs the advertisement.
Okay.
Um, who talks about this? So who talks first? You talk first, I talk first.
Stop bringing that up. My point. Um, I'll let you talk about it first since you're the one. You're the basically the reason this got made.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Um, I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Okay, which one are you? Is it? Are you talking about mine or yours?
Well, so yeah, actually, both editions are actually different. I edited both though, so don't think that Cole changed his up. I edited both. Um, but I think no matter which one you watch, I think at the end of the day, the one on your channel is probably still slightly better. But I think at the end of the day, it's both of them are still C tier or still at 7 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think they each have their flaws. Um, but at the same time, like they still feel kind of like next level too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like
Yeah.
mine, I think it's got obviously like I agree with you on the breathing. You can hear the breathing and but then
Yeah.
on yours, like I think some of the lines we added in that I don't actually say on set
Mm-hmm.
just stick out.
Yeah.
And some of the audio, the added in audio doesn't line up. But I do like the adding in of the I mean, I go on the back and forth on the monster thing at the end, the
Mm-hmm.
noise. Um, so overall, I think like either which way you watch it, it's got its flaws. So I
Mm-hmm.
think personally it's a C tier. But what do you think?
So, um, I actually put an 8, but I think you're right because especially after we doing this whole ranking, we were kind of calling out Chris for not like finishing the videos, like they kind of just end abruptly, and that's exactly what we do here. And
That's true.
I didn't really even realize that until you just made that point. So you know what? Like I agree with you. I gave it an 8 originally, but I think it's a high 7. I don't know about 7. I think maybe more like a 7.5 or 6. You know what I
I
mean?
think yours is a 7.5 and mine's a 7.
Okay. Um, but I said the story is a little underwhelming. But the camera work is awesome. Like the production is clearly good. Original story, great location, and good acting. Like I think you did well for, and again, it's all visual too. Well, no, it's not, but you did really well on your acting. Like I think you did great. Because in the original take, it is kind of all visual if you think about it. But now that you kind of voice over it a lot, you still did really good though. So yeah, I think it's a solid C tier for sure.
And that's it. That is the ends of our filmmaking career as far as cinematic shorts go. For
Yep.
now. And now let us tease. The Gunman 5 is coming back. The sixth one will probably be not that far behind it. I don't. I'm anticipating that one probably being towards the end of this year. But Gunman 5 will be here soon. It is on the horizon. We didn't get it in time or done in time to be a part of this ranking. Um, it won't be up by the time that this ranking comes out, but it is on the horizon. So those who have been waiting for since 2018 for the conclusion of this series, it's gonna finally happen. We promise you that, folks.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, the sixth one, that will happen too, surprisingly. So
That will, yep.
yeah, we're
But
working
that
on
one,
both.
obviously, most of 5 was done already. We just modified 5 and shot the rest. So that one is on the way out of the conveyor belt, I guess we'll say. But 6 is in the beginning, early production stages. So it's going to take some time, but we're going to try to do it bigger and better than ever before. We've got nuclear films back involved in it.
Hmm.
And the three of us, we're going to probably, I should say four of us, but we'll get to that a little later down the road. But
It, it should be made this year by the
yeah,
late end of this year, hopefully.
right.
Obviously, it could go into 2025, but it should be this year. So that's really exciting news.
And we promise you that too, because even if there's like a 2% chance that this falls through and it doesn't actually happen, you are still going to get some form of Gunman 6. So, regardless, it's going to happen. Just know
Yeah.
that, folks.
So let's just take a minute to look back. I always like looking back at our tier lists. And at this point, since it's at the end, we can talk about all of them in a way. But that's crazy. Like, how many A's do you think we actually had at the end of the day? Just two?
Yeah.
Just two? One S tier, two A tiers, and then we had quite a few B's throughout the rankings.
So, hang on a second. So, if we look here, this was our very first one we did for the 2014 to 2015. One D tier, and we have seven F tiers. And look at where we are now. Obviously, it's change or there's still F tiers, but progression for sure.
There's only four, which is crazy. Wow.
So there's our 2016 one,
Oh, dang. Look at the F's.
as opposed to our 2017 and our 2018 to 2019, and now the 2020 to 2024. So as you can see, there's still been a progression,
Mm-hmm.
and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, this was a really fun series. I'm really glad we decided to do this. I don't remember who suggested this. Did we both kind of like suggest
I
this or?
suggested it.
Okay, I don't remember. But I'm glad you did because this was awesome.
So I know we
So
still said that there's more we want to do. We're going to talk about the Lego stop motion. We're going to talk about some bonus videos, some documentaries, and some trailers. Um, the bonus videos is kind of ones that are like cinema short light, like they don't really belong in cinema shorts, but they're kind of along they're cinematic short adjacent. And then we're going to top it off with ranking all our franchises individually and then amongst each other. Um, but as far as cinematic shorts go, this is pretty much kind of the end of the line.
yeah,
So yeah, it's been fun to do. I'm excited to keep doing the rest though. I look forward to talking about the Lego ones, but yeah, this is awesome. I'm really glad we did this.
this was fun. This was a great series.
But now we're approaching about an hour and 50 minutes. So
Yeah, let's call it a day.
with that being said, clip or off clip.
Oh.